So, right, how do you know when you're at an extreme in the market? Right, number one is max optimism and pessimism. So what does that look like? That looks like gold in, what, 2010, 2011. There was no way gold could go down. Gold was when the stock market dropped, people bought gold because it was the safe haven trade. When the stock market went up, people bought gold because it was the inflation trade. Oh, look, it's the anti-inflation hedge. Gold's going up. Oh, look, the stock market's dropping. Buy gold. Safe haven. There was analysts left and right on TV telling you it's going to $9,573,000 an ounce. Right? Max optimism, ridiculous, preposterous, everybody on board with the optimism is a very good sign that you're approaching an extreme. It's my favorite sign. And max pessimism is even better. Right? And I believe that the euro is heading pretty close to max pessimism here shortly. Oh, Greece is going to cripple the eurozone. Draghi left it way too late. QE, no, their banks must be hiding skeletons. There's no ways they're going to create any kind of inflation. There's Europe's going to collapse. They're going to break up. This is a divisible union. Sure, it probably is. We'll cover that in just a sec. My point being is that yeah, I don't particularly fancy extremes on the 15. I mean, I'm more inclined just to stick with extremes more on the dailies and things. But we'll talk about those too. So max pessimism and max optimism. And guys, do not get caught up in the news cycle of these things. Do not get caught up in their opinion. I cannot stress that enough. If you turn on the television and all you see is bulls, you understand that it's probably time that things are going to go the other way. Okay? Right, number 2 is the way that news cycles through. Okay, I'm going to address all your questions. I promise you I'm not going to miss them yet. All right. When an uptrend is in place, okay, it starts off, or in the middle of it, they buy on good news, okay, and buy on bad news. Okay, this is the middle of an uptrend. The strongest part of an uptrend is when there's a slew of bad news coming out and there's just relentless buying. All right. When you know that this cycle is sort of transitioning is when you start to see them buy on good news and sell on bad news. In other words, they're selling on merit. For whatever that, you know what I mean? I've never really subscribed to this because good news can be bad news. You know, CPI and home starts are great. Our housing was great last week. Yellen said the economy is good, so everybody's like, okay, well, now we're going to sell the stock market. Nah, it's due for it. All right, but these are things you can watch. Okay, and inevitably, this creates volatility, this phase. In other words, you're not directional, but you're very volatile. Something reminds you of this phase, maybe. There is definitely something in the market that is squeaking about that. I can think of two things. Stock market, and to me, the likes of silver. Right, number 3. What is an extreme? Or how do you know? What are the signs? Okay, obviously, big daily, weekly support and resistance. It's that simple. You look on the chart, you can see, hey, we are way out there, man. Okay, and we'll touch, this one we're going to look at. Number 4. Distance. I'm doing massive abbreviations here, but it'll be recorded. Right, distance from EMAs. Oops. Or SMAs, whatever you want. Okay. So in other words, if you are historically stretched out from where you have been over the last 20 years of trading, the patterns repeat. Chances are there's going to be some semblance of a mean reversion. And the one that comes to mind right now is the USD yen. We'll look at that. Number 2 is about the news cycle. Sort of, when you're in a good uptrend, they buy on bad news, no problem. And then they sort of buy on good news and buy on bad news. And then you cycle into buying on good news, selling on bad news. And then you will start to cycle around to good news is ignored and only bad news is sold. And then the trend has changed, but you're probably too late at this point when they selling on good news, selling on bad news. So it's good to be aware of where you are in that cycle. And Friday, we started to see a little bit of selling good news. It's something to keep in mind, or rather Monday. Okay. So there are other things, but these to me are your major weapons in play here. And obviously there's pivots and there's fibs and okay. But the major one of these is the opinion driver. If there is just relentless, overwhelming opinion, do you think you would go down more, or is it on the reverse? I'm going to have a look at that. I actually had an order today to long at 108.50, so I'm only up a handful of pips on that. So I'm going to have a look at that, and I think it's going to go down a little bit further, but we'll take a peek.